Yo ho ho, Dom Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. And yes, you did read that title correctly. Today, I'm going to be giving you my 53-man roster projection. Now, full transparency, Dom Mafia, I would say out of all the videos I do each year, this one is probably by far the biggest pain in the to edit. Luckily, on my behalf, while I was scrolling through and doing research and comparing different 53-man roster projections, I happened to stumble across an article that I 1000% agreed with. I legitimately would not have made a single change. It's a Buffalo Rumblings article. I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to link that in my description in case you wanted to read it yourself. And we're going to start having some answers on who's going to be this team, especially since the first round of cuts and are scheduled to take place only a couple of days after this first preseason game coming up on Friday night. So let's go on ahead and start asking some of these questions. And we're going to get right into that right after I remind each and every single one of you to smash the out of that like button, please, and thank you. So starting off with the quarterback room, I feel like this is probably going to be the most obvious. Josh Allen and Mitch Trubisky will be dressing for each and every single game. Obviously, Josh Allen, I don't even think that requires an analysis. And then Mitch Trubisky, he's just the better quarterback. He's best suited in being a backup quarterback to Josh Allen, much more so than Jake Fromm and Davis Webb. I do see Jake Fromm and Davis Webb getting cut. Perhaps Jake Fromm may be on the practice squad, but at the end of the day, we just don't need a COVID QB this year. So Josh Allen, Mitch Trubisky, the only two members from the quarterback room on the active 53. Next up is going to be the running back room, okay? This is going to be pretty controversial. There is a specific name that's not on here that I know a lot of people are going to flip out about. However, we have Matt Breida, Reggie Gilliam, which is funny because I'm pretty sure at one point he was listed as a tight end, Taiwan Jones, Zach Moss, and Devin Singletary. For the most part, not a lot of surprises. I'm sure a lot of people are like, yo, what about Antonio Williams? In my opinion, I just don't think that one good game against Miami is enough to justify him taking a roster spot from any one of these individuals. Reggie Gilliam, I mean, like I said, he was once listed as a tight end. He's more of like a fullback situation, tremendous blocker. He's making this team. And Taiwan Jones, there's absolutely no way that we are going to take somebody out of our special teams who is such a large contributor. And then Matt Breida, Zach Moss, and Devin Singletary, Antonio Williams is just not better than either of those three. So hence why I see this being the running back room. I can see Antonio Williams making the practice squad, but as far as the active roster, most likely not. Same thing with Christian Wade, he's going to get cut. Wide receiver. Now listen, honestly, my entire viewpoint changed because I'm sure that when you looked over my projection for the wide receiver room, it looked a little different. I'm not going to lie to you. And actually, it seems like the author of this article agrees with me on this fact as well. As far as the receivers are concerned, the first four are obvious, right? I mean, I feel like a kid who just started watching football 3 minutes ago could tell you that Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Emmanuel Sanders were absolutely locks for this team. But the other two are hands down going to be Isaiah McKenzie, and who has seemingly locked down the return specialist role, hence why he is securing a roster spot, and then Jake Kumerow. For the longest time, I thought that Isaiah Hodgins was going to be the sixth guy coming on this team, but the way that Kumerow has been performing in training camp and all of the praise that he's getting from around the league, specifically from Aaron Rodgers, and so I feel like Kumerow has done enough in training camp where he has been able to lock and secure a spot on this team. As long as he doesn't royally up in any preseason game, he's locked in. That's the wide receiver room. The tight end room, in my opinion, probably the weakest room, like right in this entire team. At this point, we have Jacob Hollister, Dawson Knox, and Tommy Sweeney, with Nate Becker and Quinton Morris being cut. It's now that Tommy Sweeney ended up recovering from his heart condition that he had last year caused by COVID. It seems like he is going to be taking over Lee Smith's role right as that like third string type of blocking tight end. Dawson Knox, there's still a lot of questions about him. Has he truly addressed his dropping issues? There's reports in training camp saying that it's much of the same. He's still dropping some pretty easy passes, but catching some pretty incredible ones. So the inconsistency is still there. And then Jacob Hollister, the guy that ended up coming from Seattle. I'm really not sure what to expect from this guy, but this is going to be our tight end room. We're only keeping 3. So right here with offensive tackles, we have Spencer Brown, Tommy Doyle, the 2 draft picks. Obviously, these 2 are going to make the team. And then Deion Dawkins and Darrell Williams. Now, this is going to be the only 4 that we bring on to the squad. I'm not going to lie to you. This room does kind of concern me. When I look at this, we are significantly lacking in offensive tackle depth, right? Say that Deion Dawkins or Darrell Williams go down, two tremendous tackles on this team, then we're going to have to rely on our rookies to go ahead and take place in that position, unless Sean McDermott wants to do some moving around with the line, moving some guards over to tackles and just doing a mixed match within the line itself. But that's essentially going to be the offensive tackle room. Like I said, I don't think anyone's going to have any debate about that. And so next we have the interior offensive line. We have Ryan Bates, Ike Bodiger, John Feliciano, Cody Ford, and Mitch Morse. And so, okay, let me go on ahead and step back here for a second because I actually do disagree with one of these names. I want to switch out Forrest Lamp for Ryan Bates. Forrest Lamp was a tremendous interior offensive lineman for the Chargers back in the day before he ended up getting injured. Then he ended up going to a team where he was consistently moved around, very similar to the Darrell Williams story. And we know exactly how efficient Darrell Williams was for the Buffalo Bills last year, once he ended up finding a secure role in one position. I have a feeling that Forrest Lamp is just a better offensive lineman than Ryan Bates, and I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to make that switcheroo. But that's going to be the offensive line there. Next is the defensive line. This is also going to be, I would say, like a controversial room to say, but I 1000% agree with this. Mario Addison, Basham for sure, Vernon Butler, AJ Epinesa, Jerry Hughes, Daryl Johnson, Star Lotulelei, F.A. Obata, my guy, Ed Oliver, and Gregory Rousseau. Now, let me tell you what, this defensive line looks a hell of a lot different than it did a couple of years ago and even last year. I'm very excited to see this entire team. Pretty much a lock. I definitely feel bad for Harrison Phillips just because I don't see anybody on this list to make the 53 that Harrison Phillips is better than. So, unfortunately, I do see him getting cut from this team. Linebacker, we're keeping 6. We're going with Dotson, Edmonds, Klein, Matekovic, a tremendous special teamer, Matt Milano, obviously, and then Andre Smith. It's definitely always good to have a lot of depth, but at the end of the day, I'm almost positive that it's going to be the normal starting 3 with Milano, Edmonds, and then AJ Klein lining up as our linebackers. All right, next is cornerbacks. We're going to be keeping 5. We got Dane Jackson, Taron Johnson, Ciaran Neal, Levi Wallace, and Tre'Davious White, and essentially the entire cornerback room that we had last year. And so it's definitely crazy to see all this continuity, especially within our secondary. And so you really love to see it. I am still a little concerned about Dane Jackson and his capabilities to back up anybody if somebody were to go down with an injury, but we will cross that bridge once we get there. Next up is the safeties. Damar Hamlin, the rookie, will make this team. Micah Hyde, obviously. Jaquan Johnson, and then Jordan Poyer. Those 4, those are basically a shoe, and I'm really excited to see how Damar Hamlin does. I have high hopes for this guy. I think that he's going to be a stud in a couple of years, especially learning under a duo like Poyer and Hyde. And then last but not least, the specialists. We're talking Tyler Bass, Reed Ferguson, and Matt Hack. And so these guys were clearly a shoe-in because essentially they had no competition whatsoever. And they're all very good at their jobs too. So those 3, and that's going to lock in the final 53-man roster. And so, Del Mafia, do me a favor, leave a comment. How do you feel about this 53-man roster projection? Really, really want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you disagree with me or the author of this article in any one of them? Really want to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in. And before I let you go, you better always remember, let's go Buffalo.